Did The Simpsons predict Russia invading Ukraine? The Simpsons is one of the most successful TV shows in the history of the planet. They've grossed millions upon millions of dollars and have done things other shows could have only dreamed of. Video games, books, board games, theme parks, you name it, and The Simpsons have done it. This obviously goes hand in hand with the fact that they have 33 seasons under their belt. It's currently the longest running scripted American primetime television show, and it has 10 whole seasons on second place. The Simpsons has been running on TV longer than I've been alive, and there's no reason to believe it's gonna stop anytime soon. Having 33 seasons to their name and 717 episodes in total, they've covered a wide variety of stories. Being the zany, animated, satirical comedy that it is, they've touched on some things that are pretty unbelievable. Whether it be Homer having the mob shoot an adult film in his house to completely destroying Springfield with garbage, The Simpsons are always doing something insane and outlandish. Most of the time, these things remain in their hysterical animated fantasy land and never come to fruition in real life. However, there have been some instances where the crazy things that they do on TV actually play out in real life. Enter The Simpsons predictions. If you look up The Simpsons predictions on the internet, you will find a ton of articles detailing all the times The Simpsons have predicted something in the future. You see, being on for 33 whole seasons means that a lot of real time has passed, which then means that tons of the stuff that you've written about has the potential to be proven correct. Let's take a look at some of the most famous examples. How about in season 11, episode 17, when Lisa becomes president and says the line, "We inherited quite the budget crunch from President Trump." Season 11 of The Simpsons would have come out in 1999. Fast forward 15 years though, and look at what happens. How about in season 23, episode 22, when Lady Gaga comes to the cartoon and wears almost exactly what she would later wear at the Super Bowl halftime show? Or how about for a less conventional one, where in season 5, episode 19, the lunch lady puts a bunch of horse meat in the children's meals, and then many years later a scandal involving Taco Bell and some other food chains found the very same horse meat in their products. I could go on and on with other examples of The Simpsons predicting various things, but I think that you guys get the point. Either way, it's safe to say that The Simpsons aren't new to the whole prediction game. But with all that being said, did they predict Russia invading Ukraine? Well, before I fully answer that, let's just take a quick look at what's happening in Ukraine to see if anything The Simpsons have said would have matched up with that. Well, as we've talked about several times on this channel recently, Russia and Ukraine are currently not on the friendliest of terms. Taking a brief trip back in time to December 1st, 1991, Ukraine got its independence. It was on that date that the entire country held a vote, and a staggering 92.3% of Ukrainians voted to become their own independent nation. This was after a long history of being controlled by the Soviet Union, and prior to that being attacked and oppressed by not only the Russians but several other countries too. Something that gets forgotten far too much is that less than 100 years ago, back in the 1930s, a full-on was committed against the Ukrainian people by Joseph Stalin. He specifically starved those that lived there, with survivors saying that Russian soldiers would see them making a soup of water, leaves, and twigs and force them to dump it out. It's things like this that led to the overwhelming support of independence in 1991 by all the people living in Ukraine. Even though many of the Ukrainian people rejoiced at this vote, the Russians weren't too happy about it. Ever since Ukraine has become their own country, Russia has refused to acknowledge it and believes that they should be an extension of Russia. In their mind, Ukraine has so many people of Russian descent already that they should just be in Russia. Not to mention that their culture is very similar to the Russian culture because they were under Russian control for so long. Anyways, very simply, Russia wants Ukraine, but Ukraine doesn't want Russia. This is why in 2014, Russia forcibly annexed the Crimean Peninsula peninsula, an area of land that was particularly important to the Russians. Before 1954, it used to be part of Russia but was transferred over to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic and then retained after they got their independence. This meant that tons of the people living there were initially Russian and Russia wanted them back. Heavy sanctions were enforced on the Russians, but it wasn't enough to deter them from this annexation or from potentially taking more. Fast forward to right now, and currently over 100,000 Russian troops are just chilling right by the Ukrainian border, looking like they could march in at any given moment. Putin has come out and said that they have no plans to invade, but actions speak louder than words, and moving that many troops to that spot doesn't seem like something someone would just do for fun. Anyways, this is the state of Russia and Ukraine right now, and it could get bad very soon. But back to our question at hand. Did The Simpsons predict Russia invading Ukraine? Well, kind of. Max Fisher for Fox writes, "The rapidly worsening tension between the United States and Russia, not to mention Russia's invasion and annexation of part of Ukraine, has got lots of people talking about a new Cold War. That's overstating things, but it's true that US-Russia relations are at the worst since the fall of the Berlin Wall, and Russian foreign policy is at its most aggressive. Even Russia hawks did not foresee things getting quite so bad quite so quickly. But someone did. The writing staff at The Simpsons. An old episode, Simpson Tide, predicted the return of the Soviet Union and a new Cold War back in 1998 when Boris Yeltsin was president and relations were good. The show began with Simpsons patriarch Homer Simpson joining the Navy, ending up on a submarine that accidentally gets into a shooting match with a Russian sub and wandering into Russian waters in what is taken as an attempt to defect. He then goes on to say that Russia's ambassador to the United Nations reveals that the collapse of the Soviet Union was just a ruse. Obviously, this was just a joke about how improbable it would be for a Russian official to push a button and bring back the Soviet Union. And of course, Russia's invasion of Ukraine does not mean that the Soviet Union is back. But there is a certain continuity between Russia today and during the Soviet Union, with its aggression in Eastern Europe and its anti-Western politics at home. So there you have it, folks. The Simpsons kind of predicted what is happening right now. I want to emphasize what Max Fisher wrote there about the Soviet Union as well. The Soviet Union isn't back, and an invasion of Ukraine doesn't mean that it's coming back or anything like that. But like he says, the Simpsons' prediction of Russian aggression towards Eastern Europe is certainly accurate. One thing that should be noted though is how the episode Simpson Tide ends. Nuclear war is anticipated and it looks as if everything's about to go to hell, but through some dumb luck, Homer manages to get out of it, and in the process, everything goes back to the way things were. So if we're putting our full faith into the Simpsons' predictions, then we can at least take some comfort in the fact that they didn't predict a full-on World War III involving Russia. So that is a good thing. Granted, maybe taking the Simpsons' predictions literally isn't the best idea either, because even if this predict would work in our favor, there are plenty of other ones that have been thrown out there through the years that definitely wouldn't. But guys, please let me know in the comments down below what you think about this whole thing. Do you think that the Simpson Tide episode counts as a full-on prediction for a Russian invasion of Ukraine, or are we just stretching it a little bit? Also, please comment down below what you think about this whole situation at the Ukrainian border right now. Is it something that you're really worried about, or will it all blow over really soon? Animal lover Julian commented, "Russia has the second strongest military in the world. Ukraine doesn't have a chance," on our video talking about if Ukraine could defend itself against Russia. Hopefully that isn't the case, Julian, or hopefully it doesn't even come to that at all, but sadly I tend to agree with you on that one. Anyways folks, thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. I've been your host Nicholas Playlog, and I'll catch you next time.